All right, good afternoon, and welcome to another great Lunch and Learn. Today we have Pavilions and Jordan here to talk to us about who Pavilion is and what they do. But there's Anne. Go ahead and wave to our audience, Anne. Welcome. Let me go ahead and start off with reading a brief bio about Anne and about Pavilion. So Pavilion builds technology infrastructure that public servants use to access cooperative purchasing. This makes it possible for the public sector to deliver better, faster public services from a wider and more diverse set of businesses. As partnerships manager at Pavilion, Anne Jordan works with government partners to design tools and services that make cooperative purchasing easier. Prior to her role at Pavilion, Anne served as Director of Policy to Mayor Quinton D. Lucas of Kansas City, where she led the development and implementation of mayoral policy priorities with a particular focus on economic opportunity, housing access, and equity. Before that, she worked with government agencies across the country as a technical assistance provider with enterprise community partners, facilitating strategic planning processes and supporting implementation of new programs. As a proud daughter and granddaughter of public servants, Anne credits their lively dinner table conversations with her ongoing passion for public service. So again, welcome to Anne Jordan. And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Alexa Francis House here with Broward County's Purchasing Division. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Anne, who will be sharing a presentation with us. And as always, if you guys have any burning questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat as we go along. If there's at any key points, I'll chime in and have Anne respond to those questions. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Alexa, and thank you all for joining this Lunch and Learn today. I hope you all have very yummy lunches in front of you. We'll go ahead and share screen right now. That'll be my first test here. All right, I believe it's up here. And just to make sure that I'm being as relevant as possible to you all today, I'd love to just get a quick sense of who I'm talking with. I know there's a lot of you, so if you're able to just pop in the chat what department you're joining from, and if you have any familiarity with cooperative purchasing already, want to make sure that I'm calibrating the information and not being redundant with stuff you already know.
No, if I could pop in real quick, Anne, and Alexa, yes. Thank you for another series in our Lunch and Learns. Most of us, we have probably 50 to 60 purchasing personnel. We have other staff within our using agencies in the county. So my name is Bob Gleason. I am the Director of Purchasing, and I'm somewhat familiar as a guest on your platform, having searched for some things. So most of us are very familiar with cooperative contracts, and there's different flavors and varieties, as you know. But in doing so, it's just one tool in the chest, yes. And we have many tools. It's sometimes not often the first tool that we reach for, but with regards to time and resources and urgency and importance of the needs of our client agencies, we will sometimes turn to other contracts that other public bodies have used. Of course, you have the large national cooperatives, but you also have local regional ones. You have category-specific cooperatives, et cetera, et cetera. So with that, I hope it gives you some context.
Perfect.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Thank you so much for chiming in. That will allow me to breeze through some of the upfront stuff and get to the good stuff faster.
And I would say that there's probably less familiarity with cooperative purchasing with our using agencies. Oftentimes they're business staff, so they know about it, but there's a lot of nuance between one cooperative and another cooperative.
Absolutely. Great. Well, I'm excited to dive in a little more with you. My hope for you by the end of today's session is that all of you will have access to our data. Oh, was that somebody chiming in? Okay, maybe we're trying to unmute.
I see that there are two.
Great. So my hope for you today is that you will have this access to 100,000 and more shareable contracts on Pavilion by the end of today's session. We'll talk a little bit about how and when Pavilion can be helpful to you. As we were just discussing, cooperative purchasing is just one tool in the toolbox, and we are a tool to make that tool even easier. So I know this is only a small portion of everyone's work life, but we're hoping that we make that small portion all the easier. And if time allows, we may even get to explore what other government agencies can offer you to procure in the event of a zombie apocalypse. We'll see if we can get there. So as Alexa mentioned in our introductions here, I'm Anne. I'm a partnerships manager at Pavilion. We are a free marketplace for public entities to find and use those cooperative contracts that we were just talking about. We are built by and with public servants. As you already know, I myself worked in the mayor's office in Kansas City until this fall when I joined Pavilion. And our founder worked for the city of San Francisco, which is where she was really inspired by the promise of cooperative purchasing to help deliver public good faster in times of intense need. So she spent the past 5 years building the nation's largest database of shareable contracts. We are now a team of almost 40, and we partner directly with government agencies and their vendors to make public purchasing easier. And we are committed to providing our services for free to government partners. We believe you should not have to procure us to use us, when the whole point is we're trying to help make procurement easier. So you can relax knowing that this is not a sales pitch, and everything I'm going to show you today is already available to you at no cost. So with that, let's go ahead. So first, I was planning to give a little overview of cooperative purchasing to make sure we're all on the same page. It sounds like we can steam right through that. Then I'll dive into what Pavilion offers to you specifically. And then we like to kind of get in there together, get into the search tool itself, make sure you all are able to access your free accounts and run searches yourself. So when we talk about cooperative procurement, I know different people use different terminology, so always try to just label this up front. We know that there are multiple ways that governments can collaborate on contracting. They can do that up front through the joint solicitation process. And today we'll talk a lot about when collaboration is happening after the fact, on that kind of whether it's piggybacking on contracts, sometimes people call that like accessing contracts simply, but really talking about how to make it easier for governments to share work that's already been done with other public agencies. As we discussed, a tool in your toolbox, not the entire toolbox, is what we mean when we say cooperative purchasing. We know that cooperative purchasing tends to be most helpful when there are emergency situations that arise and you need something faster than a typical bid would allow, or that there is an existing relationship, you know very specifically what you need to buy, and there's a time sensitivity on it. We also, though, recognize that there is value in searching for cooperative contracts, even when you're not sure that a cooperative purchase is the right way to go. This, we've seen, can help you do some due diligence on potential suppliers or get a better sense of the market for the good and service that you might be trying to procure. You can also see how other agencies have scoped their contracts to inform solicitation development. And we can give you a leg up in negotiating with suppliers by giving you a sense of how they're working with other agencies today and what they're offering elsewhere. So with that in mind, I'm going to dive right into kind of the tools that we offer. I'm going to do a quick check. I know Alexa has not interrupted me, so I'm assuming that means that there are no questions so far, but feel free to keep going in the chat if I'm ever moving too fast. All right. So we really think about Pavilion as helping with these 3 core functions, like I was mentioning. Finding the best contract. We can search across national cooperatives to local entities right in your neighboring area. Also help with that due diligence process, and then connecting with your other colleagues and suppliers. But for many people, finding shareable contracts often looks like a losing game of Go Fish, requiring many fruitless calls. Do you have this? No, try again. Sometimes we've heard people use websites like this, where there are lists of different links to different cooperatives and other entities that you click through, which might take you to a spreadsheet that you have to do lots of searching and filtering through, or you're getting to an error page on a website that has changed since the last time it was linked. Maybe it's a PDF and it's unclear the last time that was updated, or you're getting blocked by a login wall for access to something you don't have. Pavilion puts all of those things in one place, so you can stop going to all of those different sources, making all those different calls, trying to figure out if you're allowed to create new logins. We offer basically a kind of Google search experience explicitly for shareable contracts. As I mentioned, we have over 100,000 shareable contracts, and that's growing every day. That's cuts across 400 different contract sources. And we now have over 2,500 public agencies that are searching on Pavilion and connecting with suppliers all the faster for free. These are some of the popular contract sources that we're seeing Florida entities particularly searching for. As I mentioned, we have those national and regional cooperatives like Omnia and Sourcewell, but we also have contracts from state and local entities, including the state of Florida, Lee County, Miami-Dade County, Brevard County, Orange County, and more. So maybe you found the contract that you're interested in and you're ready to do due diligence. You're trying to see if it was bid out in a way that is compliant with your requirements for cooperative purchasing. For me, that meant scrolling through documents like this one that's on the screen and doing lots and lots of scrolling, control Fing until I found the right thing across these 300 pages. With Pavilion, you can jump straight to the information you need. So you can quickly evaluate what contracts and suppliers may be available to meet your needs. We'll help you filter your search results so you can get to what you need specifically. And then we'll give you clear contract overviews and the ability to search within documents right on the page, as well as jump to specific sections of the document we think might be most useful to you. And then that last bucket of work, the coordination, getting information from your colleagues and potential vendors. Maybe you're downloading giant documents, putting them into zip folders, emailing them, putting them on different shared drives, depending on people's preferences. That might mean lots and lots of calls, lots and lots of emails, or the dreaded extra meeting on your calendar. Even if Oprah's offering it, I don't know about you all, but I know I am always willing to skip the extra meeting if I can. One of the ways we help you do this is with shared contract workspaces. So you can now save projects or create a project where you can save multiple contracts that you think might meet your need all into one place and easily share all of those contracts, their online links at once with your colleagues to check if these look right, get their feedback on kind of what might work best, and then quickly coordinate with the suppliers on those contracts with a single click of a button to create email exchanges to get more information or request quotes. That's what this next slide shows here, is the feature of how you can message a supplier. We create email exchanges, so you don't have to keep coming back to Pavilion to check if they've responded. And we also copy a member of our support team on any communications so that if you're not getting a response, we'll do some of the follow-up for you to help take a little bit of that load off. All right. I think that we're ready to probably see this in action. I'm going to do a quick stop here. Are there any questions for me so far about what I've covered, what Pavilion is?
I'm not seeing anything in the chat as yet, Anne. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat. And then as she transitions into the live demo, we can address it after.
Sounds great. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that and now actually share the good stuff, the website itself. All right, I think we're back in business. So this is the homepage of Pavilion. I'm going to put the link in the chat here because I would love for you all to join me in this search if you are able. I think we found it's a little easier to get a sense of things when you're able to do it yourself versus me just telling you. So if you are able to go to www.withpavilion.com, that link is also in the chat. Then you'll be able to see the screen like I'm showing you here today. When you go here, you have the immediate ability to search for anything you might need. So I'll go ahead and do just a sample search for, let's see, temporary staffing. That's a common search, so that's already a search term being suggested. And it'll take you to our search landing page. But since I'm not logged in, it's just going to show me kind of the most relevant by title, and it's not accounting for my location or any of the customized account settings that we offer. It also means, since I'm not logged in, that when I try to view the contract, I'll get prompted for this login. We do this just to make sure that we're actually serving buyers in this. And then we differentiate in the ways that the features that are available for buyers versus suppliers. So that's the whole point of the login. I'll go ahead and do that right now in the hopes that you'll do it with me so you can see how easy it is. And then that means that after this training, you'll have full access to all of this. We don't ask you to re-log in a lot. So if you can do it with me right now, it means one less thing for you to do in the future. For those of you who didn't see that, I just went to hit login or sign up right in the top right of the screen. And then it should automatically show I'm a buyer. I'm going to type in my email and hit sign up. Oops, since I had already tried this before, it's prompting me to re-log in. That may have happened to some of you. To give the experience of what it's like to create your account for the first time, I'll edit that email one more time. Then it'll just ask for your name, the public entity that you are part of. Today, I'm going to say I'm part of Broward County, Florida, so that I can show you the experience that you all would have directly as well. Confirm that I am a buyer, set my password, and create my account. Since my email domain is withpavilion.com, our site rightly guesses that I may not actually be with a government entity. For you, this should not happen. I'm going to go ahead and hit no, I am a buyer. It'll give you the option to share some feedback with us about your current purchasing work. And then but we can skip ahead for now so we can get back to the exciting stuff of searching. So I'm going to go back and search for the contracts again. Sorry about that. I'm getting prompted to make sure I'm logged in. And now we're seeing that I have some more options. So now I'm able to say, oh, I only want to see suppliers that I know can serve my entity. I can also now look for different contract sources. So we have those national cooperatives that I mentioned up top here, as well as local entities across Florida. So you can get a sense here. For temporary staffing, it looks like there's a fair amount of Florida entities that already have these kind of contracts. I could say I only want to see those. We'll also tell you information about the expiration date. So even though this title for the Miami Beach contract looks really relevant, it's expiring soon. So I might want to filter that out and say, let's make sure that the contract is available to me for at least 6 months or more for the duration of my need. We have some other, like if you want to make sure that there's full contract documentation included, sometimes depending on the way that data was shared with us, we'll have more limited information than others. Most of the time we'll have contract documents, and that's what this filters out for. You can also go ahead and edit some of the default preferences we set over here. We'll default to always show you contracts with confirmed cooperative language in the search results, but maybe you're just doing due diligence for scoping your own RFP. It's okay if there's not cooperative language because you're not trying to piggyback. You could uncheck this box and see more. You can also filter by different diversity criteria, which you can set in your account preferences over here. So if there's certifications from the state of Florida that you care about, for instance, those might appear in your account preferences. You can scroll down here and see if there's local preferences like Orange County's certifications or Tampa's. We also have state of Florida, disadvantaged business enterprise that you can select. So that's just a quick sense of what you can set to influence what you're searching for.
There is a question in the chat, and are you able to filter with locally certified small or county-based businesses if we provide access to our database of certified businesses?
Yes, absolutely. So just like that is exactly the process. If you have that information in a database somewhere of who is accessed, we can work with you so that you would have a section in your account preferences specific to Broward County, so that it would be your certifications listed here, and then you could select to see those people automatically.
Okay, great, thank you.
And so to give you a sense of what that looks like, obviously right now this is showing that people that meet diversity certifications from those other Florida entities, but what that looks like is it means that we'll bring those to the top of your search, and we'll add this little label that says diversity certifications so that you know they are included. So let's go in now. Are there any other questions, I guess, before I move on about kind of the filters or what you're able to kind of triangulate your search with so far?
Not a question, just a follow-up note. If you can provide us with instructions on how to do that after today's session.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that with you. So let's go ahead and click into a contract itself right now. So this is where a lot of the good stuff lives. When it's your first time logging in, we'll give you kind of these helpful tips along the way. But since you're talking to me right now, I'll just do those tips verbally. This is what you see. We'll give you the name of the contract. We'll give you a high-level contract overview with some of the quick hits of information that we know is most relevant, the suppliers that are listed on the contract, who led the initial contract, especially if it's part of a cooperative, the cooperative name, again, if it's part of a cooperative, as well as an expiration date, how many contract documents there are, and the source for this information, so that if you ever want to go verify or check our work or check around for anything else that's related, you can go right there. We'll also tell you what we've confirmed is in the contract scope to make it a little faster for you so that you don't necessarily have to go Control F searching through all these documents. So in this case, there's a lot of different staffing offerings. Those are all shown right here. And then we'll show you a little bit about the kind of supplier that is on the contract that we clicked into. We sort our contract offerings by supplier, so each contract page is the contract with one individual supplier. In this case, since there are 91 other suppliers on the contract, you could click down here and go to their individual contracts separately if you were interested in exploring further. But maybe you're not ready to select a supplier right now. You want to dig in a little deeper on the contract documents. Then you scroll down, and that's what we have right here. We'll give you off the top the ability to just download all of them if you want. But I do think a great benefit of Pavilion is that you can save a lot of computer space, a lot of email space and storage by just searching right here and saving on the website so that you can move a lot faster.
And it looks as if, I'm sorry to interrupt, your screen may be frozen on our end. We're still at the top of the screen. So I don't know if you want to stop sharing and try sharing again.
Thank you for that flag, because I was definitely moving around. Let's try one more time. Are you seeing the section of my screen that starts with documents?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So this is what happens. This is still all on that same link that I was on before. I scrolled down to the document section. You can also click documents at the top of the screen to navigate here. we'll give you a list of the contract documents that are included. In this case, we have some of the actual contracts. We also have the bid solicitation documents and the bid tabulation documents, so you can see how it was evaluated. Maybe I'm interested in the RFP and I'm specifically interested in the specifications. Since we know that that's often an item of interest, we call that out. You can click that and it'll take you right to this page at the bottom of the screen where the document already is. You can scroll through if you want, or you can search directly in the document itself. So, I'm interested in staffing in this case. I can see exactly how it's being discussed and where. Maybe you didn't quite find what you need or you still have some other questions. You can always go ahead and email the contract administrator who is listed on the contract document by clicking that button, Email Contract Admin. It'll pop up this screen. It'll auto-populate with your information. We'll give you the ability to add whatever message you want. And then you can hit send at the bottom of the screen and move on with your day. The next opportunity we also offer is maybe you already know this is the contract for you. You've reviewed the documents. It meets what you need. You can go directly to requesting a quote and getting more availability from that supplier. So for those that didn't see, I just went ahead and clicked chat with supplier. I also will have the ability to add more suppliers that were listed on the contract as I showed before in case I want to solicit multiple quotes at the same time. I can copy my colleagues on the message if I want to keep them on the loop. And then I can go ahead and add the specifics of my questions, my request, give more context on what we're trying to buy. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this will create individual emails with anybody in the to line. We won't, even if you add additional suppliers here, like now I'm trying to message 2 different suppliers, this isn't creating a group message. This will send individual emails from you to each individual supplier in the to line, copying whoever you've included in each one, as well as a member of our support team to just make sure that you're getting everything you need out of this email exchange. If you don't add more details to your request, we'll remind you to do so that you're getting the most out of this message as well. And then you can go ahead and click send message or go back to the contract if you're decided maybe not.
We're not seeing the message on the screen.
How about now?
No, it looks like it's frozen again.
Oh, that is so I'm sorry for all of the thing. Thank you for calling that out. Let's see. I'm hoping it's not a Microsoft Teams setting that I don't quite have.
Sometimes with Teams, if you have your camera on, it does something funky with bandwidth. So maybe try turning the camera off.
Great. Thank you for the tips and apologies for that along the way. Let's see now. Are you all able to see kind of the message screen that I was mentioning before?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Perfect. Another great reason to create an account so you can see how this works for yourself without the internet time lag. But as I was mentioning, here is that to line. Here's where you can add more suppliers who are listed on the contract. This is what it looks like when there are multiple people there. This is where you can copy your colleagues, and this is where you can add more details to your request. If you hit back to contract, we'll check that you're ready to delete it, or you can go back to writing the message. And again, I navigated to that by clicking here in the top right of the contract screen and hitting chat with supplier. Are there any questions about kind of the contract page and your abilities to contact suppliers and contract admins directly from it?
Not seeing any questions in the chat.
Great. Then I'm going to show you 2 more things. I know we're coming quick on my time, so I'll try to be brief with it. One is just that ability to save contracts that are relevant to you. So this will be offered to you at the top of every contract page. You can create a new project, will suggest a title based off the contract title. For me, that works. So I'm going to go ahead and save that to a project. I can go back to my initial search, and maybe I want to see that Miami Beach contract that we saw earlier. I can save that to that contract page. And then all of those go into a place called projects. So
Okay, it's not going back to the initial search. Right now, we're still showing the staffing services screen.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with me, everybody. I'm sorry that the screen share is not my friend today. Are you seeing a page that says projects right now?
Yes.
Great. So here we have, I got here by clicking projects. Were you able to see how I was saving the contract?
Yes.
Okay. So I went through that process of saving the contracts, and then I was able to go back and see, okay, let's look at that project in one place. Both of the contracts I saved are right here. And now I have the ability to add notes, add a comment, test, can leave that there. I can then add collaborators on this project. So maybe I'm working with a teammate to evaluate if this meets our purchasing need. I can send them the link or add their email right here. And then they can jump in and respond to my comments, add additional contracts to it. We can also add a description to make sure that I remember what this is for. I'm mistyping a little bit, but you get the picture. And then maybe you've identified that and confirmed with your colleague that all of these work. You can go ahead and request quotes from all the suppliers that are on those contracts. So this takes you back to that supplier message screen. Hopefully you're seeing it again, but now I know that it's not always working. So you know what that message screen looks like, and that's what we'll take you to again. All right, I'm gonna try to go to show you one quick other feature, which is this, that maybe you already know you're able, there's an entity in your region that has contracts that are really valuable to you. You really like the way they do things. You can search by entity as well. So perhaps you want to see what Miami-Dade County has. I can go ahead and search right here. It'll pop up with a landing page for them, as well as other entities that are nearby in case you're interested in exploring further. And then you can always click in to see any of these, as well as see down here which contracts they have specifically. We have those same filter options, and then you're able to go here. We also offer the ability when you're on a landing page, so this one's for the state of Florida. This gives you that same ability to search only within that entity's contracts with another search bar right here.
I'm sorry, Anne, we're frozen again under save contracts.
Okay. Well, so you're still seeing, let's see. Let's go to, this is what the page that I was hoping you would see, State of Florida Cooperative Contracts. I showed Miami-Dade briefly. I'm not sure if anyone saw that either.
No.
But here, okay, well, State of Florida is, this is what happens when I had searched State of Florida right up here, and then you can click on it. I won't do that because I want to make sure you actually see this screen. And this is just a way for you to search specifically within one entity's contracts. And you can filter within it right here as well, similar to how we were doing on the main search. So I threw a lot at you. It sounds like you may have seen some of it, but not all of it. So I'm sure there might be questions, and I think really the easiest way to get a sense of everything is by clicking around yourself. It's great to hear that some folks already have done that. I hope you're able to join along with me. I'd like to stop here and see if there are any other questions.
Okay, so the first question is, how are you receiving the piggyback contracts you have in your database, and how often are they updated?
Great question. I believe, is that from Shamar, who is
Yes.
the reason that we're actually all here today? Thank you for connecting us. The way we have two main ways that we receive contracts. One is when the contracts are just posted publicly available, we make sure to bring in existing public information, particularly from sources that we hear from our users that they are searching for. The other main way we get contracts is through direct partnerships with government entities. So some entities use us as a way of storing their contracts so that they can search within it. Others publish their contracts already through OpenGov or Bonfire, and then those are integrated with Pavilion. So we're still in the process on both of those, but soon any contracts that are published for sharing there will also appear on Pavilion. And we're working on building out functions like that every day. So if you all have contracts that you want to make sure are appearing on Pavilion, I would love to work with you. That helps us make sure that other entities are able to learn from your work, and also can make it easier for you all to share your contracts internally and for folks to know what you already have contracts for right there. These tend to be updated at least monthly. So that's how we've heard is a pretty good cadence for making sure that the data is as relevant as possible. But again, if you're ever seeing anything and you have a question about it, you're always able to double check with the contract admin or reach out to myself or my team at Pavilion. We have got a really great support staff available to help you get to the bottom of things really quickly.
Now, and you just mentioned Bonfire, and we actually have a question from our director regarding that. He was saying he's curious if Pavilion is considered working with an e-procurement solution provider like Bonfire. It's an integrated or integral tool within the Rec2Check or P2P.
I love it. I love this question, and I love how you're already thinking about making workflows easier, since that is the name of the game. And I know nobody wants another thing they have to remember in their processes. We are integrated with Bonfire and OpenGov. On the Bonfire front, these are both pretty new. So you should now have the ability to search Pavilion within Bonfire. I can send you a link with more information on how that works, and also how you're able to publish contracts on Bonfire right after this meeting, since I don't believe I have access to their portal to show you live.
Okay. So I'm just going to pause for a brief second. Are there any additional questions that anyone has for Anne that you would like to go ahead and type in the chat while we have her here? And Anne, in the meantime, if you want to put, I don't know if you have a slide with your contact information, if you want to put that up, or if you want to drop that in the chat.
I'll put my email in the chat, since screen share was maybe not my best friend today. My email is just ann@withpavilion.com, Ann with an E. I'm here for anything you might need. I'll be the person to coordinate with you if you want to get your diversity certifications loaded as a filter, as well as if you wanted to, we can talk through that Bonfire integration and how your contract sharing is going. Or if you have any colleagues who you want to make aware of Pavilion, I'm happy to do one-on-one calls or join anything. My job is to help you and your teammates get the most out of Pavilion. So if you ever have any feedback or ideas, I am all ears. Oh, and we didn't get to see what happens when you search for zombies in Pavilion. So maybe I'll leave that as an optional homework item for anybody who's curious to see. You'll be able to see that even with a kind of crazy search term like zombies, Pavilion will still do our best to help you find things that might be relevant to your need. As a preview, you might see some things like cleanup or chemicals, things that might be you might need to address a zombie apocalypse. It's just a fun way for you to see that we bring in as much relevant information to your search, even if you're still in the process of figuring out what exactly you need. So hopefully you can have some fun searching around after today. I'm sorry I wasn't able to show my screen well to do that right now, but I really enjoyed having the opportunity to connect with you all, and hope we stay in touch from here.
Thank you very much, Anne, for sharing the presentation with us today. And this session is recorded, so if you all know of anyone else who may be interested in Pavilion and what they have to offer, once the recorded session is posted on our YouTube channel, in our Lunch and Learn playlist, feel free to share the link. And Anne's contact information is here in the chat. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon. Bye, guys.
Thank you all.